What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cam Show. NFL Week 17. Shout out to my Indianapolis trash Colts. They're done for. Look, I think, like I said and been saying for so long, they have to draft a quarterback. They're going to have to hit the reset button because right now, I don't see the Colts making the playoffs for the next couple years at least. So I think my Colts, they need a rebound. But obviously, they're going to New York. They're playing the Giants, and I think they're going to get smacked. The Giants are 5.5-point favorites, and really, the Giants are playing for something. They're playing for a playoff spot, and if they win, they are in the playoffs, which is pretty crazy. And I got to give some respect to Daniel Jones throughout his career right now. I've never really been sold on Daniel Jones. I wasn't that type of guy to be like, man, Daniel Jones is going to win you guys a Super Bowl. No, I just don't see him like that. I think the Giants need to really get a quarterback as well in the future, but Daniel Jones, he's decent. He's that quarterback that's not going to necessarily throw a game-losing interception, but he's also not going to run for, 20 to 30 yard run and truck somebody and get the first down, get the team hype, and win a big game. I don't think that's the guy. I really don't. But, shout out to Saquon Barkley. I think obviously he's the best player on the Giants. 1,254 yards rushing and 10 touchdowns. I think the X factor for the Giants, not just this game alone, but in the future, is definitely the run game. They're going to have to run with Saquon because without the run game, it's over with for the Giants. So I think all the pressure right now is on Saquon to do great things, which it's always been like that since he got to New York because really hasn't had a lot of help there. But, shout out to the Giants. I think they're going to win this game. I'm going to bet with my mind and not my heart. So I'm going to go Giants at 5.5. The 39, the over-under, that's pretty tricky as well. It's tough to really decide that, but I'd probably go with the over in this one. I think the Giants are going to score, and I think the Colts, they need to come out and score. They really do. Obviously, I think the Colts, they do need to lose out, and they do need to draft the quarterback, their first selection. I don't care if they're the 5th pick in the draft or the 1st pick or the 10th pick. They need a quarterback. They don't need to go offensive lineman, okay? We do need some offensive linemen, absolutely, for next year. But I think right now on New Year's Eve, we need somebody big here. Okay, the Colts are trash right now. And I'm looking at the owner, Jim Irsay, and saying, look, dude, you're going to have to lay off the Xanax right now. We're going to have to come back from this and regroup and do better things for next year in 2023 because right now it's not cutting it. But I'm going to go Giants over my Indianapolis Colts. It might be a close one, but I'm rooting for my Colts, but they're going to lose. And then we got the Carolina Panthers versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is for a huge NFC South game. I think right now whoever wins this is going to take the lead. And I'm looking at Carolina. They're the hotter team right now. It would make sense for me to go Carolina right now. They're playing better football than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I'm looking at Tom Brady, the GOAT, and saying, look, I do think this is his last hooray right now in the NFL. Absolutely. I think he's done for after this. And I think, in the future for Tom Brady, he's the GOAT. So it really doesn't matter right now if they miss the playoffs or even lose out in the first game of the playoffs. I just think Tom Brady, he's done, dude. I think my father time has caught up with them, dude. I really do. I think it's caught up with them. He's had an okay year this year, 21 touchdowns, 9 picks. That's not GOAT status, right? But I think he's at the end right now, and he knows this. So I think for Tom Brady, this is it for him. This is it. And then you got Mike Evans, 917 yards of receiving and 3 touchdowns. Chris Godwin's been balling out, 848 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. I just think looking over at the big picture for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is that, hey, the defense is great. I just think right now, offensively, it's just terrible right now. There's no rhythm, there's no flow, and there's just no really companionship right there. I just don't see it right now for Tampa. So right now, it does make sense to me to go Carolina Panthers. I'll take Carolina in Tampa Bay. I do want to see Tampa Bay win, which I think they can, but I think right now, Sam Darnold, he's balling out. He's got 4 touchdowns right now. DJ Moore, 761 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns. Dante Foreman, 811 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns for Carolina. I think Carolina's the better team right now. That's why I'm going Carolina and Tampa. I want to see Tampa win. I want to see Tom Brady get in the playoffs one last time, one last chance to get his 8th Super Bowl championship, which is pretty ignorant and insane. But I'm definitely going Carolina Panthers in a close one. 40.5 is the over-under. I probably lean more towards the under, just the simple fact that both offenses really haven't been that explosive. And I will give credit when credit is due to Carolina. They have put up some points with Sam Darnold. They have, in Seattle, they've been winning big games recently. So I'm going to go Carolina in a close one for the NFC South title holder right now. And they're all below 500. Trash. The worst division in the NFL right now. No doubt about it. But I'm going Carolina Panthers over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a close one. And then we got the Arizona Cardinals versus Atlanta Falcons. Falcons. Both teams are out. Both teams are trash. Atlanta's 5.5-point favorites. I'll probably go Atlanta in this one. I probably will. They got a great run game with Tyler Allinger, 817 yards of rushing and 2 touchdowns. And shout out to the great J.J. Watt. His last season in the NFL, which kind of in a way is like, oh man, it kind of sucks, right? He got drafted in 2011, and really he's been balling out. Von Miller has more sacks than him. Chandler Jones has more sacks than him. He's like 4 since his draft class. Yeah, I believe it's 113 sacks right now that J.J. Watt has, which is insane to me. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt about it, dude. We look at J.J. Watt, man. He's just a dog. He's got the dog in him, and really, I would love to see J.J. Watt win a Super Bowl, go out with a Super Bowl championship. He did not, but I mean, dude, he was a baller. I mean, we remember him back in the Houston days, dude. Like, he would take touchdowns, man. It was awesome. I remember him scooping and scoring a touchdown and doing the nay-nay dance. It was just great, man. That's just classic J.J. Watt, and really, I just think he maximizes talent. I really do. I think he maximized it, and really his hard work and his passion for the love of football is really what set him over the top, and that's why J.J. Watt, to me, is 100% a first ballot Hall of Famer. Shout out to J.J. Watt. But I just don't see Arizona winning this game. I mean, you got James Conner. He's a great running back, over 700 yards rushing and 7 touchdowns. And then DeAndre Hopkins, 717 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. But like I said, Arizona's banged up at the quarterback position. Kyler Murray's going to be back next year, probably late in October, November time. But it's on the outside looking in for Arizona Cardinals right now. But I'm going to Atlanta Falcons at home. I'll take the 5.5. Like I said, both teams are trash. This is really a relevant game. I would not throw big money on this game. You want to throw money on games that you think that are going to win, and really games that mean something. This game really doesn't mean anything because both teams are not playing for the playoffs. So they're both out. So I'll go Atlanta at 5.5. 5.5, 41.5 is the over-under. I'd probably go with the over, but I definitely like Atlanta in this matchup. And then we got the Chicago Bears versus the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions are 6-point favorites. Look, Jared Goff and the Lions, they are playing for something. They got to win out and get lucky a little bit to make the playoffs this year. So I'm going to go Lions at home, 6-point favorites. You're playing the trash Bears. Haven't really done much this year. The only thing that Bears have going for them is Justin Fields, over 1,000 yards rushing and 8 touchdowns, 16 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. I just think Justin Fields, they need to surround better players for Justin Fields. That's it. I mean, point blank period. You got to surround a better system for Justin Fields. For the talent he has, he needs better playmakers around him. He 100% does. But for the Lions and Jared Goff this year has been balling, dude. 26 touchdowns, only 7 picks. And then Jamal Williams, 850 yards rushing and 14 touchdowns. And his favorite target, St. Brown, over 1,000 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns. I think it's all day Lions here. I'll even give you guys 9 or 10 points. I think the Lions win by 14 plus this game. And really, this is a statement game for the Detroit Lions. You got to win this game. If the Detroit Lions lose this game, they're definitely out of the playoff race. So right now, they're still in the hunt. They still have a playoff shot. So I'm going Detroit Lions over the Chicago Bears. 52.5 is the over-under. That's tricky. I don't even know that one. That one's definitely a coin flip, but I like the Detroit Lions over the Chicago Bears in a close one. And then we got the Denver Broncos versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are 12.5-point favorites. Broncos, what a terrible year. They're 4-11 right now. Russell Wilson's been looking terrible. 12 touchdowns, only 9 picks. I'm looking at Russell and saying, what happened, dude? He just doesn't have that magic anymore. It's like he lost his mojo, like Austin Powers. It's silly to me. It's like, how did this happen, Russell? What happened? You lost the sauce, and that's it, dude. It's unreal. You know, and then Jerry Jeudy, he's questionable with an ankle. He's got 6 touchdowns, their best receiver, no doubt. And then Latavius Murray, 544 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns for the Broncos. But I'm not going Broncos, dude. I'm going Kansas City. I mean, the safe bet is definitely the money line Kansas City, but even the 12.5, I wouldn't even be mad if you guys went 12.5 Kansas City. I really want it. I still like Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes, 37 touchdowns, 11 picks, and his boy Travis Kelce, 1,257 yards receiving and 12 touchdowns. I think it's all Kansas City right now. And as we develop into this playoff race, we will see Kansas City in there, and we'll start to be like, oh shit, dude, like Kansas City is legit. They do have Patrick Mahomes, who's got the sauce, and I think they can run deep, and I think they can go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. I really do. And it starts with Patrick Mahomes. He's got to play on his A game every single game from here on out. And I think that, the Kansas City Chiefs will make it. I really do. They can definitely beat some big games, big teams in the playoffs. I can't wait. But I'm going Kansas City all day in this matchup. 45 is the over-under. Probably go with the under, just the simple fact that Denver doesn't put up points. They don't. I could see Kansas City scoring 30 plus, but Denver, they're trash right now, so I'm going Kansas City. And then we got the Miami Dolphins versus the New England Patriots. The Patriots are 2.5-point favorites. Miami Dolphins, they're on a 4-game losing streak. Tua's out with another concussion. I mean, dude, I just think for Tua, man, they got to get a better offensive line, dude, or Tua's not going to last long in the NFL. Because, I mean, to take these type of hits, how long can you do it for? How many concussions till you get CTE? How many concussions till you start to forget simple shit in your life, dude? I'm telling you, it adds up. And do you think the owners of the NFL care? The owners of the teams, dude, they don't care, dude. They don't care if you're suffering CTE. They don't care if you're suffering eternal back pain for the rest of your life, dude. Like, they don't. So I just think for Tua, he's got to be more careful here. And really this offseason is going to decide is Tua's fate and future. Should the Dolphins sign him a long deal contract? I don't know. That's risky, dude. I think that's a little too risky right now. Maybe a 1 or 2 year deal, but for 10 years, I don't know, dude. It's risky right now. I mean, Miami, they got talent. Teddy Bridgewater will fill in those steps right now, and I do like Teddy Bridgewater this year. 3 touchdowns, 3 picks, and then obviously Tyreek Hill, 1,632 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. Been balling out. That's who Tyreek Hill is. So I think Miami, they got something to prove here. Now, am I going to take Miami in New England? I actually am. I'm going to take Miami, and lately, Miami's played New England to a T right now. I think they got their number, and I'm not really sold on Mac Jones. I'm just not. 9 touchdowns, 8 picks. Stevenson, 5 touchdowns. We saw that late fumble last week. It was devastating playing against Cincinnati. I mean, they could have took the lead and won the game, but Stevenson fumbled. It happens. But I just think for the Patriots, I'm not sold on them, dude. I'm not sold on Mac Jones. I don't think Mac Jones is the future. I really don't. I've been saying that for weeks after weeks, but I truly believe that. I think Bailey Zappi's got to fill in eventually. But I like Miami Dolphins with the upset. Even without Tua, I think they got something to prove. They're on a 4-game losing streak. They need to get this win if they want to get in the playoffs. So I'm going Miami Dolphins. 41 is the over-under. Probably lean more towards the under, but I like the Miami Dolphins over the New England Patriots. And then we got the New Orleans Saints versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Philly is 5.5-point favorites. They are without Jalen Hurts again with that right shoulder strain. I mean, Jalen Hurts this year, I still think he should win MVP, even though he is hurt, which he probably won't now because of the injury. But he had 22 touchdowns and 5 picks this year. I mean, Gardner Minshew's filling in his steps. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks versus the Cowboys. 389 yards passing for Gardner Minshew against the Cowboys. So the talent's there for him. Now, if the Philadelphia Eagles want to go to the Super Bowl, they need Jalen Hurts back, and they need him back at 100%. So Philly, they just need one more win, and they get a first-round bye in the playoffs. I mean, what more could you want if you're Philly? I think Philly, they win this game. I'm going Philly. They're playing at home. They're playing the New Orleans Saints, and I just don't see the Saints really winning. Dalton this year, 17 touchdowns, 8 picks. Kamara, 2 touchdowns, over 700 yards rushing. I mean, the Saints have talent. I just think right now the Philadelphia Eagles are legit, and they really should have won the game against the Cowboys on Christmas. They really should have, but, they got A.J. Brown, 1,304 yards receiving and 10 touchdowns. Devontae Smith, over 1,000 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. Miles Sanders, 1,175 yards rushing and 11 touchdowns. I mean, dude, Philly, they're stacked right now. So I'm going Philly. I'll take the 5.5. And like I said, when Jalen Hurts comes back, Philadelphia Eagles are probably the favorite to win it, dude. They're the most stacked team. They're the most in-depth. And they're both chemistry right now is just the best right now. So I like that. And obviously the San Francisco 49ers, I would say as well. But Jalen Hurts got to be back. Got to be back by the playoffs. So I can't wait. But I'm definitely going Philly at 5.5 over the New Orleans Saints. 41.5 is the over-under. I probably lean more towards the over, but I definitely like the Philadelphia Eagles over the New Orleans Saints. And then we got the Cleveland Browns versus the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are 2-point favorites, which Carson Wentz is going to start this game, which I'm kind of shocked in a way. They just kind of gave up on Taylor Heineke, which I think he was the heart and soul of their game, of their team, of just their offense, man, their flow, everything going for him. I just didn't see it with Carson Wentz. I just don't, man. Carson Wentz is just a poor man's. He's trash, man. I just don't like him, dude. He's just not a good quarterback. Even when he came to Indy, dude, he's poor man's Matt Ryan, dude. Poor man's Andrew Luck. Carson Wentz is not good. He's just not good. And Brian Robinson Jr. over 700 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Terry McLaurin from Indiana, over 1,000 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. He was Mr. Indiana football in 2013. Shout out to Terry McLaurin, a baller. I like Washington Commanders at home. I'm not sure on Carson Wentz. I just don't know. Deshaun Watson this year coming in for the Browns, really not performing great. 2 touchdowns, 3 picks already which is terrible. Nick Chubb, 1,344 yards rushing and 12 touchdowns. Nick Chubb, a baller. For fantasy-wise, definitely go Nick Chubb next year in 2023. You got to. That's the smarter play, 100%. And then you got Amari Cooper over 1,000 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. I mean, on paper, definitely go Cleveland Browns. But right now, I just think Washington, they're playing for a playoff spot here. They have an outside chance, but I like Washington Commanders at home, and I think Brian Robinson has a big game running, so I'm going Washington Commanders over the Cleveland Browns. 41 is the over-under. I probably go with the under, but I definitely like Washington Commanders over the Cleveland Browns. And then we got the AFC South leader, the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Houston Texans. Look, the Jags, man, they're right there. They're on the door. They're leading it right now. They play Tennessee next week, the last week of the NFL regular season. So I think right now Trevor Lawrence, like I told you guys, don't give up on him. Do not. 24 touchdowns, 7 picks this year. ETN, 1,000 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. Christian Kirk, 988 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. Zay Jones, 778 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. I'm telling you what, Jacksonville is legit. I'm going Jacksonville right now. It'd be silly if Jacksonville really does get upset, but I'll take the 3 points all day. Davis Mills, 14 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Houston, they need a quarterback. They just need a new system in Houston right now because they are dog trash. And then you got Brandon Cooks, 554 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. I expect him to have a big game, but I'm going Jacksonville here. They're going into Houston, the worst team in the NFL. I think Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence, fantasy-wise, start Trevor Lawrence this week. I think Trevor Lawrence has 3+ touchdowns. I'm going Jacksonville, and they will control the AFC South and really go into the playoffs this year. Shout out to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shout out to Trevor Lawrence. Take off on them. And then we got the hottest team in the NFL on an 8-game winning streak. San Francisco 49ers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Look, San Francisco, like I said, dude, they are something else right now. They're on a hot streak, and shout out to Brock Purdy. I think this kid is a gamer. He's the last pick in the NFL draft in 2022 this year, which is crazy, right? Already he has 8 touchdowns, 3 picks, and then he's got McCaffrey, 580 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns. Then he's got George Kittle, who's probably one of the best tight ends in the NFL. Top 2, him and Travis Kelce. He's got 713 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns. Dude, they just got so many talent. And then we got Debo coming back. So I'm going to 49ers over the Raiders all day. And what's sad about the Las Vegas Raiders is Derek Carr. I mean, 24 touchdowns, 14 picks, and now he's benched. You know, we saw the bad game last weekend. I don't think it's all on Derek Carr here. I think they're just trying to blame Derek Carr for everything, and it's just like, really? I'm looking at the head coach, Josh McDaniels, and saying, what happened, dude? You had all this talent and nothing to show for it. I'm not blaming everything on Derek Carr. I'm looking at the head coach and Josh McDaniels, and I think he needs fired. I think he needs out. They jumped this gun way too quick. I thought Josh McDaniels was not a good scoop up. I just didn't, man. I just didn't believe in it, dude. They had so much talent. I mean, Josh Jacobs, 1,539 yards rushing and 11 touchdowns. He's been balling out all year, dude. Like, what more do you want, man? Like, seriously, like, straight up, dude. Like, what? It's crazy. And then Devontae Adams, 1,290 yards receiving and 12 touchdowns. I mean, on paper, you would think the Raiders would be playing for a playoff spot. But right now, they're done. They are done. They've been banged up all season. And I'm looking at the head coach and saying, Josh McDaniels, what's next? What's next for the Raiders? They got to get better defense. That's what's next, and a better line for Derek Carr. But I don't think they should give up on Derek Carr. I think that'd be a big mistake. If anything, if they do give up on Derek Carr, I'd love for the Colts to scoop Derek Carr. I still see a lot of talent in Derek Carr. He's still a youth. I still think he's really good. I'm just not going to give up on Derek Carr like that. But I'm going 49ers at 9.5. I would say money line, though, is a safer play. I think the 9.5 is a little too much right now, and this game's normally close anyway, this rivalry. So I'm going to go money line, San Francisco 49ers. I think Brock Purdy's going to have a big game. Obviously, McCaffrey, Kittle, those guys. So I'm going San Francisco. 42.5 is the over-under. I'll probably go with the over, but I definitely like the San Francisco 49ers, who are the hottest team in the NFL right now. No doubt. They are the hottest team, so I'm betting on the San Francisco 49ers. Take off Niners. And then we got the New York Jets versus the Seattle Seahawks. The Jets are 1.5-point favorites. They got Mike White back. He will start, which is good news for the Jets. And that makes sense why they are favorites. So I'm going to go Jets in Seattle. Garrett Wilson, 996 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. And then you got Geno Smith, up and down year, 27 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Kenneth Walker, over 800 yards rushing and 9 touchdowns. DK Metcalf over 1,000 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns. Seattle has it, and I like the over. The 42.5, I like the over in this one, but I like the Jets. I think the Jets are going to air it out. They got something to prove for it, and they do have an outside chance of making the playoffs. So I like Mike White and Garrett Wilson on the same page. I think Garrett Wilson, fantasy-wise, is a must-start. I think he's going to snap off this weekend. I really do. 2+ touchdowns. Let's go. I like the New York Jets over the Seattle Seahawks. And then we got the Minnesota Vikings versus the Green Bay Packers. This is another classic game, another classic matchup, and I think this is going to be a great game. In Green Bay, they are favorite at home in Lambeau Field, which makes sense. 3 points. Aaron Rodgers, 24 touchdowns, 11 picks. Allen Lazard, 688 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, 962 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. But you know what? I'm going Minnesota here. I think Minnesota's the cream of the crop right now. I think they are one of the dark horses to really run deep in this year's playoffs. And it starts with Kirk Cousins. If Kirk Cousins stays in the pocket, buys some time, and throws the ball down the field to Justin Jefferson, I think they're really going to eat up Green Bay's defense. And that's why I'm betting against Green Bay, is because of their defense. So I'm going Minnesota. Kirk Cousins, 27 touchdowns, 11 picks. Dalvin Cook, over 1,000+ yards of rushing and 8 touchdowns. And then you got Justin Jefferson, 1,756 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns. I think Minnesota is too explosive right now for Green Bay's defense. So I think I like the over. 47.5, I'd go with the over, which kind of seems crazy, right, in Lambeau Field. But I think Minnesota's going to put up points here. And it starts with Kirk Cousins in this run game and Dalvin Cook. And obviously the best receiver in the league, Justin Jefferson. And I believe in them. So I'm going to go Minnesota in a close one. But I like Minnesota to really take over this game. And I think Justin Jefferson's the X factor. If Justin Jefferson continues to play, he's been playing all year, really ever since he got in the league, I think, dude, they can run it deep. And I think Minnesota's defense got to put pressure on Aaron Rodgers. Got to. So I like Minnesota in a close one over the Green Bay Packers. And then we got the LA Rams versus the LA Chargers. The Chargers are 6.5-point favorites. Justin Herbert, 21 touchdowns, 10 picks. I just think right now, for the Chargers' sake, yes, I do. I will take the 6.5 because they will get in the playoffs. I just think for the Rams right now, Cam Akers been balling out, 7 touchdowns, over 500 yards rushing. Baker Mayfield last week, 2 touchdowns, 230 yards passing versus Denver. But I think that ends right here. I think they're going to have a slow game. I like the under, the 41.5. I like the under. But I think the Chargers are going to put up points. Austin Eckler's going to have a big game. He's already got 11 touchdowns this year, 759 yards rushing. And then Mike Williams, 769 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. But I like the under, and I like the Chargers at 6.5. At home, I just like that pick. So I'm going Chargers over the trash LA Rams, who are out of the playoffs, who just won the Super Bowl this year. Now they're out, which is crazy. So rest in peace to the Rams. No repeat, but I like the Chargers over the LA Rams. And then we got the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are 2-point favorites, which kind of surprised me, really. I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers would be favorites because without Lamar. No Lamar right now yet again. Tyler Huntley, 115 yards passing and a touchdown versus Atlanta last week in the dub. J.K. Dobbins, 427 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns for the Ravens. I think the Ravens have it, dude, but I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just think the Ravens, without Lamar right now, it's hard to win. It's hard to win, and Pittsburgh Steelers are playing for a playoff spot. Mike Tomlin, what a coach. I mean, he's been in Pittsburgh for 15 years, dude. Every season has had a winning record. So right now he's on the brisk of like, oh, man, I could be below 500, but he could still make the playoffs. So I believe in Pittsburgh. I believe in Kenny Pickett. 5 touchdowns, 9 picks this year. Najee Harris, 843 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns. 35 is the over-under. I'd probably go with the under, even though this is really low. But I like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Kenny Pickett's going to ball out. George Pickens. I like these guys. I really do. So I think Pittsburgh wins in a shootout against the Baltimore Ravens because Lamar's out. But they do need Lamar. In the future, they definitely need Lamar Jackson because without Lamar, the Ravens are not even a playoff team, not even a playoff threat. So Lamar needs to come back 100%. Not this week, hopefully the last game of the season. But I definitely like the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Baltimore Ravens on the Sunday Night Football game. I can't wait for this. And then we got the Monday Night Football game, the best game all weekend, the Buffalo Bills at the Cincinnati Bengals. This is going to be great. The Bills are 1.5-point favorites. It kind of makes sense. I think the Bills right now have a little bit more momentum than the Cincinnati Bengals. I say that because Cincinnati last week went to New England and really almost blew it. Really should have lost that game. Joe Burrow did not play great, but Joe Burrow's been balling out all year. 34 touchdowns, 12 picks. Then you got Joe Mixon, 787 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns. Shout out to T. Higgins, over 1,000 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. And then Jamar Chase, 960 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns. I mean, dude, this is going to be back and forth game. I think this is going to come down to the game-winning field goal. But you know what? I'm going to go Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills right now, they're 1.5-point favorites. The Bills need to win this game to get a first-round bye. And I think everything that happened to Buffalo this year, the Von Miller injury, all the big games, beating Miami and Buffalo during that snowstorm, just so much stuff that's happened. Even the Cincinnati Bengals, it can happen. But I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. Why? Because of Josh Allen. 32 touchdowns, 13 picks this year. Devin Singletary, 790 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns. Stephon Diggs, 1,325 yards receiving and 10 touchdowns. I like the Bills. I think this is going to be a shootout, but I think the Bills right now, they're playing for something, dude. If they lose this game, they're probably not going to get a first-round bye. So I think a little bit more pressure's on the Buffalo Bills. They're supposed to win this game. They're preseason favorites to lose. So it does make sense why the big whales, the big money is being swung on the Cincinnati Bengals. They're at home. They're playing nice, but I'm still going with the Buffalo Bills. I believe in Josh Allen. I think he needs to play a little bit better, and this is the game to play better. This is the game to not throw dumb interceptions, okay? And we saw Joe Burrow throw a bad pick last week, actually a pick 6, but I definitely like the Buffalo Bills in this Monday Night Football matchup. I can't wait. I mean, it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be close. 50 is the over-under. Man, I probably lean more towards the under. I don't know why. Something's telling me, but I like the Buffalo Bills. At 1.5, I'll take the Buffalo Bills. That's going to be a classic matchup. We got so many great games this NFL Week 17. It's great. And obviously I like Minnesota. That's probably my upset pick of the weekend. Yes, they are underdogs in this matchup, so I like Minnesota over Green Bay in Green Bay. I'm betting against Green Bay's defense, but it's going to be great. I cannot wait. Definitely go Buffalo Bills all day. I'll take the spread. Let's go. It's the Kleiner with Cam Show. Woo!